Alright guys, so I am about to leave for my doctor's appointment. There's still a little bit of snow and ice around, not too bad. The streets actually look pretty dry, not wet or icy, so that's good. But I will give you guys an update when I am out of the doctor's office. I'm gonna see if she'll let me record the ultrasound to show what my ovaries look like and the follicles look like, but we'll see what she says. Hey guys, so I had my doctor's appointment today and for the most part that went pretty well. On the ultrasound you could see quite a few follicles and they were pretty good size, as you guys would have seen previously in this video. I want to say the biggest one was about 19 millimeters. She did say that she thinks that there's about 15 to 20 follicles there. She thinks that we could easily have 20 eggs at egg retrieval, but she does want to wait one more day before we do the trigger shot, which kind of works out. I'll get into that a little bit later, but that basically means that I need to go back in for an appointment tomorrow morning for her to look at everything. I did ask her some questions about numbers and what's ideal, what's kind of expected, or what we should keep in mind, knowing that just because we retrieve 20 eggs doesn't mean we're going to get 20 embryos. That's just not how it works. Part of that being because not every egg is going to be mature when they're retrieved, and then not all of them will continue to grow. So she said average rule of thumb, especially for me with no diagnosed underlying conditions, no history of any other kind of issues, just the fact that I'm diagnosed unexplained infertility, the rule of thumb would basically be 70% of the eggs retrieved will fertilize, and then of those fertilized eggs, 30% will make it to day 5. So just kind of like an estimate of that, you know, if we're starting with 20 eggs, we're looking at 15, 14 that actually fertilize. And then by day 5, we're looking at having 4 to 5 embryos, if you go by those percentages. That's not, you know, everybody's a little bit different. That's not exactly the same for everyone. So it could very easily be more. We could end up with 8 or 10 embryos by the end. It just depends. So those are some good numbers to keep in mind, especially for us. You know, when you see a big number like 15 or 20 and you want to get excited and be like, oh my gosh, we're going to have tons of little embryos that we can save and use so that if the first transfer doesn't work, then we have more. Or if we want to do this again in a few years, we have more embryos and I don't have to do all these injections and things. And so while yes, that would be nice, it's good to keep in mind that we're not going to end up with 20 embryos by day 5. So as I said, there's kind of some things going into what that will be like. And part of that is because I've stimulated so well to have that many follicles, my doctor is concerned that there is a risk of hyperstimulation, which would be OHSS, ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, which is when you do the egg retrieval and basically the ovaries are still stimulating. They're hyperstimulated at that point. The issue that this could cause is that after the egg retrieval and the fluid is drained from all of the follicles, if my ovaries are still telling those follicles to develop, they will continue to produce fluid and it will then leak into my abdomen. And sometimes when it happens, it's just a small amount of fluid and the body can absorb it and it's not a big deal. Sometimes it is a bigger deal because there's a larger amount of fluid and they actually have to do a procedure where they would put a needle in my stomach and drain the fluid. That's kind of, you know, more severe case. She is concerned because of how I've reacted to the stimulation thus far that it could be a possibility for a concern at this point. If that does happen and I am overstimulated or hyperstimulated, they won't do a fresh transfer and my doctor will order a freeze-all where they will freeze all the embryos, and then in another cycle we'll do a frozen transfer, which is where we'll basically start a new cycle. I'll take estrogen, they'll schedule a transfer date, they'll thaw embryos, and then they'll actually transfer the embryo. Part of how they check to make sure that I'm not hyperstimulating is they've been doing lab work this whole time that I've had ultrasounds and I've gone into the doctor's office. They've done lab work. They're looking at my estrogen and my progesterone levels. That's one of the reasons why I need to go back tomorrow morning. So if we're going to do the trigger shot tomorrow morning, she wants to look at my ovaries and look at the size change from today to tomorrow. And then they'll also do that lab work and she'll compare that lab work from today to tomorrow, as well as that will give them an indicator of how likely I am to be hyperstimulated based off of what my hormone levels will be tomorrow, the day of trigger shot. They'll also do them again on the day of egg retrieval to see kind of where they are. And I guess a bigger impact, or a bigger indicator that I could hyperstimulate would actually be the progesterone level over the estrogen level, because if I'm already have high amounts of progesterone and then I'm taking progesterone, that could be an issue and could cause hyperstimulation. I'm not exactly sure what levels they're looking at, what those numbers are, what they're comparing to. I mean, I can go online and I can see what my labs have been and what those levels are, but I don't know what they're looking at or comparing to, so I'm not gonna throw out those numbers here. But yeah, so that's kind of the goal, would be that I have that appointment tomorrow. We look at my levels and look at everything. I do the trigger shot. Egg retrieval will be in 3 days from today, 2 days after the trigger. And then hopefully my hormone levels are fine and we can do a transfer, which would be a week from today. 5 days after egg retrieval would be transfer. So that's pretty exciting, to like be closer. I'm super excited about that, and we'll kind of see how things go. I'm a little nervous that she brought up hyperstimulation and that she's concerned about it. It obviously makes me concerned about it, but I understand that that's also part of their job, is to make sure that bad things don't happen. And that would be one of the things that they try to keep from happening. So one of the issues that has happened, though, with my medications is I had to use my trigger shot a few weeks ago to trigger that follicle that I had to ovulate so that then I could have a period and have a new cycle and start all of this. So I've requested a refill from the pharmacy for that trigger shot, and they basically waited until the very last minute, of course, to send it out. And with all of the lovely snow and ice that we've had, it's now stuck in transit. I have no idea when it's going to be delivered. It was supposed to be delivered yesterday, so thankfully I didn't need to trigger today. And so there's a possibility that I could get it tomorrow, but I did share my concerns with the nurse, and they did send a prescription to another pharmacy here locally in town where I could get it if I need to, but I'll have to pay out of pocket. Insurance won't cover it because it's not through their preferred pharmacy and their preferred process. So I might have to pay out of pocket for it. When I talked to the pharmacy technician at that pharmacy earlier today, she mentioned that I could probably save my receipt and get them to cover it because of the unforeseen circumstances with the storm and everything. But I'm really not sure if they will. So we may have to pay out of pocket for that. It's a little under, just under $200. I think it's like $175, $170, which isn't too terrible. I'm definitely grateful that I haven't had to pay out of pocket for all of the injections. But yeah, so that's a little frustrating too, especially since the other pharmacy has already charged me for it and has already sent it. And so now I'm gonna have double trigger shots that I may or may not need. So that's kind of our pharmacy issue so far. It was a little frustrating, but hopefully it shows up and I don't have to pay out of pocket for that other one. I'm not really sure. That pharmacy closes at 3 tomorrow due to the weather, so I have to know by then and be able to go and get it. I've been refreshing the tracking information on the one that my pharmacy has sent, and I'm not getting any information. It's in Austin, so it's close. Last night it was in Kentucky somewhere. I don't remember where. It's not showing now, but it's in Austin, so it's close, but still not here. And the weather's been better today. You know, the road's thawed out. On my drive to the doctor's office today, most of the roads were much better than the other day for my appointment. There's one section where it was actually worse. And so I had to kind of find a way to go around and get around that. But otherwise, the roads have been fine. Everything is thawing out. It's well above freezing temperatures. So if it's in Austin, I don't understand why it can't be here and be delivered by now. So I'll keep checking my tracking information. If it says it's supposed to be delivered tomorrow, depending on my appointment tomorrow morning when she wants me to do the trigger shot, that will also make a difference on if I can wait for it or if I have to go and get the other one. They don't always have you trigger at night at the same time which you do your injections. Sometimes they'll have you trigger at a midday, and some of that may depend on when they can schedule the egg retrieval for, so that everything kind of lines up within the hourly time frame that they want it to. So I can't really think of anything else. That's about it. That was the gist of my doctor's appointment. We've kind of just discussed what's going to happen in the next few days, and we'll see what she says tomorrow morning. But otherwise, I will do my same 3 injections that I've done the last few nights, the same tonight, the Menopur, the Gonal-F, and the Cetratide. And then see what tomorrow happens. All right, So tonight is day 9 of injections. Same 3 injections. I have a doctor's appointment in the morning, so just get this over with, and hopefully tomorrow morning she tells me we can trigger. All right, so I forgot to pull out the wrong pen for Gonal-F. This one only has a little bit left in it and not my full dose. So I was supposed to pull out my other box, which it's blue, but it's the same medication. There's just less fluid in this box than in the other boxes. So I'm gonna do that one last and go ahead and do the Cetrotide so that that one can come up to room temperature a little bit more. And no, it really doesn't matter what order I do these in. All right, so that's it for tonight. Doctor's appointment tomorrow morning. See where the ultrasound is, how big my follicles are measuring. Hopefully all of them are at that
minimum size to have a mature egg in them so that we'll have retrieval of as many eggs as possible. But that's it. See y'all tomorrow. Bye.